good intro, we'd be like,
I need my mic. I'm not ready. I've literally just pressed play because me and Reece have been chatting already for about half an hour. And then we were like, we should have pressed record before all this. We should have pressed record before all this. But yeah, basically, hi guys, this is episode 31. Welcome back to the podcast. I hope everyone's well. Yeah, we were basically, I won't go into all the details. We've been chatting about loads of stuff because Reece left me again this week, so we've had a bit of a catch up. But yeah, we were just chatting about how almost nowadays it seems to be the case, especially with, obviously the enhanced side of bodybuilding. It almost seems to be more a case of science than actually a sport, and people focus more on what you're taking and what we can take to enhance the physique rather than what we can actually do in terms of training to enhance the physique. So we were chatting about that. Do you want to touch on it, mate, or do you want to leave it there?
I mean, we could kind of like give a bit of an overview, because like you gave an overview there, but I feel like we could probably go into a little bit of detail. So yeah, basically what we were kind of just summarizing is like the general thought process to training now. There's definitely some coaches, industries, etc., that like it's still, and I say industries, more like cliques of coaches, etc., that are all in a position where they're like, let's do this and let's do that, and it's very, like we've said before, when it comes to the volume and like reps in reserve training and stuff like that, there's trends, and there's always going to be trends. A couple of years ago, it was JP's do or die, him doing like 1 and 2 rep maxes on shoulder presses and just getting stronger. Then it was going down like the evidence base of reps in reserve training, and I feel like, especially when it comes to like top level coaching now, it's more so a sense of like the training is almost like a not even a byproduct. Like the training is just get in the gym.
Second thought, isn't it?
Yeah, do the basics, and there's not much passion into it. And it's just like, right, are you training chest once a week? Yep, cool, spot on. That sound. Yeah. Are you training your delts? Yep, cool, okay, spot on.
Yeah, it's and not like, how are you training them? It's are you? What's your frequency? Oh, you're training legs twice. Oh, sound. It's like
that sound.
Well, there's more to it than that. Like,
yeah. And it's like if they were, let's say, looking flatter, and this is maybe in a competition prep, instead of thinking, right, how can we manipulate training? Or let's say we're in a prep and our performance is coming down. And as a result of that, obviously our food's going to be lower. So instead of thinking, okay, let's play around with training volume. Let's bring training volume down. Let's find a kind of a baseline where we can still recover. I feel like nowadays, pretty much where people are just like, right, well, we haven't actually utilized this compound, so let's push this in because this will actually improve performance. And it's where it's not actually based off training. It's just based off how many things can we give you that we're not really thinking about the long term. And I think there are coaches, and this is not me throwing shots to anybody, literally there's going to be plenty of coaches that think about the long term, but it's often where training gets neglected. And I feel like, as I said to you, like there's probably a difference in people's physiques. There's a reason why there's so many individuals who are not that strong, who are not that centered towards their training. And it's no wonder, and again, we actually didn't mention this, but post prep and post, let's say, phases where people are so focused on a goal, people usually fall off because they don't actually love their training. Like if you were to not pose and not compete, you'd still train because you love getting stronger. Like your 6 plate per side on the Cybex shoulder press, that's fucking good. That's really strong. But I don't think many people get that much reward out of that. And it's where like they just be thinking, well, I trained my delts that day. And they might be looking a bit flatter. I just need to up this, or I need to put this in, or I need to put that in, or I need to do a tidy up because I need to get sensitive and stuff like that. And in reality, it's where you do focus on basics.
Losing that passion, like a lot of bodybuilding is for me anyway, like it's almost losing that side of things where it's like, where's the, not the enjoyment, because I know people do still enjoy it, like, but where's the sort of the love for training gone? Like, I feel like for a lot of people now, it's not so much like training is the first focus. It's almost that, well, I have to train to make the most of taking this and taking that because I'm competing. And it's like, I feel like that's the wrong way around. But that's not even what we were really speaking about, was it? We were just sort of chatting about like different things and coaching, obviously chatting about like, obviously you training Sanaya, but obviously her being coached by Tom and stuff, and just how that's a little bit not like imbalanced, but we said it's a bit, for me, like that would be difficult for me to have a client who had someone doing the training, someone doing the food, someone doing the drugs. Like you want to have control and take charge over it all, like, because, and like we were saying, like the main thing is the training. Like if a client doesn't send me form videos, I get annoyed. If a client doesn't let me know how the training's going, I get annoyed. I don't care if it looks like it's going well in the sheets, if it looks like they're eating the food well. Like, if they're not actually like sending me at least some training footage, especially at the start of coaching, like I get really pissed off and I'm like, look, your training's not going to be improved. It's not where it needs to be. I can guarantee it. Like, so you need to start sending me videos. And that's because that's the enjoyable part. And also that's like where the passion comes from. Like, I don't know. Obviously, you know, you want to help people across all aspects, but I'm not passionate whether someone's hit their macros or not. Like, obviously, it helps. Like, you know what I mean? It helps. And if they're not, it's like, right, come on, this needs sorting. But if someone sends me like a mint set on a hack or something like that, I'm like, this is fucking mint. Like,
exactly.
That's like enjoyable. But yeah, I think
I view almost like the macros as like a gateway to better training, because it's like, right, you're
what I was saying to a client today. His training's great, but his other variables let down his training. So that sounds a bit contradictory, but his training for what he can get out of it now is good in terms of his form, in terms of his effort in the set. But his energy levels, I guarantee, can be improved through better sleep, better nutrition. His recovery can be better. His look will be better. Like, all these things can improve, even though his training at the minute is pretty good. All the other external variables that align,
hold him back.
Need to align. Yeah, they're holding him back at the minute. But yeah, I think we ought to just start.
Why do you think, like, so I know you said we'll think we start, I just want to carry on. Why do you think it is the case? Because I personally think it's, firstly, there's a lot of more evidence coming out now, a lot more science regarding it. And then I also think as well, I'm not going to say people being lazy, but just people shying away from the shit that's hard. Like, genuinely, like,
people don't like, I don't think people like training hard. A lot of people. And I'm not saying that, oh, we fucking love training hard. Like, I'm not going to go down that. I'm not being biased about it. But I feel like nowadays, and, you know, generally you can look at people who do put in the work, and, you know, the people who are doing, like, as much as I hate the whole sort of hardcore outlook and the almost like the bro science side of things, like, generally, if you look at the people who are doing the shit that most people don't want to do, the hard stuff, the stuff that's like, oh, fucking hell, I don't want to do split squats, or I don't want to do that because it's hard, I don't want to pull from the floor, like, most of the time they've got a pretty good physique. Like, it's very rare that you'll see the guy who doesn't do any of the hard work building a really good physique. Like, it's obviously, it's pretty, I mean, it's not rocket science. Like, that just makes sense, doesn't it? Like, if you're putting in the effort, if you're doing more hard work than someone else, you're probably going to get better results. It's not that simple. And I don't like that whole just, oh, fucking just train harder. Like, it's not always the case. You know what I mean? But I do think, like, nowadays, it's almost like there's always someone, we're always searching for an easy way out. And it's even the same in terms of, like, off season. Like, people will give up on an off season. Oh, I need to diet. As soon as they feel like one day they struggle to get their food in,
1 day's worth of bad feedback, they're like, their appetite goes down, and they're like,
for a little bit,
I need to pull back, I need to have a food break. And it's like, no, you've actually got to a point that not many people get to. Embrace it and now kick on. You know,
I can't remember who posted it. It might have been something. Was it something that Cuba put on? And I don't really follow Cuba that much, like, but I think it was just one of his training posts, and it literally said something like that. It was like, everybody's looking for an easy way out in terms of, like, off season nowadays. Like, just eat your food and train. Like, just do it and you'll grow. And it is really that simple. Like, you do that long term, and obviously in terms of your training, you make sure that you're progressively training. Like, you are going to grow. You don't need to look for an easy way out or overanalyze it, or constantly changing your training, or constantly changing your food, or thinking, oh, I need to pull back, do a mini cut and then grow again. It's like, you probably don't, like, unless you're really, really struggling, like, and you've got insanely fat, like, you're probably all right. But yeah, it's, I don't know, it's like, we could make a whole episode on this, and we could, well, on pretty much what we were chatting about before as well. Like, we could make an entire episode on it, but we won't for today, because we do have questions.
Even though I feel like we could, it's a good topic, but yeah. We'll revisit upon. And
I feel like you end up going down too many tangents, though. Like,
and it's hard to be concise. Yeah, because you could just bring up anything. You could go off. Literally, we just started talking about people getting to a point where their food gets high, and then going, "Oh, I need to diet." That could be a topic on itself, you know. And yeah, it's just a bit of a shame. Like I said, it's not where, like, I've gone to a different gym, ditched Finn for a few days, and, like, I've like, oh, no one's training hard, because it wasn't that at all.
No.
But Yeah, it was literally just something that we thought, like we were chatting about, having a little catch up, seeing how the last week had gone, and yeah. But basically, mate, we'll actually have that catch up because that's usually what we start with. Obviously, I was in Leeds. I'll let Finn kind of start off. How was your session? What did you get on the dumbbell RDO? I haven't spoken to you. You got the 80s, didn't you?
Yeah, I only got them for like 7.5. They were too big. Like they're massive. I know obviously you did the hundreds, but they're literally
huge.
I couldn't. They were hitting against each other. As soon as I picked them up, like I think I must have had my grip felt fine, but as soon as I picked them up, they tilted completely. So I didn't have like a solid grip on them. Yeah, they just felt they felt okay. I had to pause them because they felt so awkward. So I was pausing in the lengthen for like a.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, the load felt fine. It didn't feel like I couldn't manage the load. It was the size of the dumbbells. If they were like the same size as the 70s, it'd have probably been a good like 10 or 12 rep set. Like they felt fine, but yeah, they're just fucking massive. Literally, I almost had to have my arms out here to try and keep them apart. So it just felt a bit off. But yeah, it was still, that session was pretty good. What did I do? I get 2 reps up on the pendulum. Cluster set, I improved the depth on the cluster set. That was good. All the isolations were sound. Although I think I'm going to try the Life Fitness ham curl because I'm not really getting on that well with the prime. It's okay, but I just feel like I think what it is because I love that Cybex version 1 thingy, Evo.
Yeah.
I love that so much that I compare everything to it. And it's like that, the prime hamstring curl feels nowhere near as good as that. So I might just drive to Evo, do hamstring curls, then go to flex.
Would you be opposed to maybe trying a lying ham? Because we've done those seated, so we've rinsed them whenever we've been there.
The only thing is that I just find with the lying ham, I just can't create anywhere near as much force as I want to. Like I feel like my hips,
without your hips coming around. If it was
the only option I had, I'd be like, sound. Like,
I don't mind the lying ham, but I agree. It gets to a point where you need that snappy, explosive concentric.
I feel like
and your hips all over the place, and it's just a bit of a mess. So, yeah, I wouldn't be too opposed to try. I like the Life Fitness. I like the Prime. I get to a point with both of them where you kind of just run them into the ground. And like, I do like
the Prime lying hamstring curl is actually really nice. I do like it. But yeah, I prefer a prone ham like later on in the session when the load is likely going to be down a little bit. Mainly just because I find that if I'm
I think when you're fresh, you keep your hips locked. It makes sense to do a seated.
I think there's quite a lot of, like, there's some good data behind that as well. Like that actually, it generally makes more sense to do a seated hamstring curl when you're a bit fresher. Well, in terms of just general force that you can create and stimulus that you can put through the hamstrings, I think it's generally better on a seated hamstring curl than it is on a lying. But yeah, that was still a pretty good session. Monday was good. That's the session that I posted on Instagram. What did I get? 6 plates for 5 on the Cybex shoulder press, 5 plates for 8. And then I got 4 for like 18, I think I got. Something like that. And I remember like when I prepped, I think I got like 4 for 8 was something like that was my best. That's pretty cool.
Wait, you're stronger than you were when you were prepping?
Fucking mental.
Wow, mate, mental. I thought you were dieted by this point. I'm surprised you got
all the dieting and all the changing of training that I've done throughout this game.
Yeah, I thought that.
And then Wednesday, because it's obviously the 3rd session in a row, I'm always a little bit trashed going into it. It's not the most demanding of sessions, obviously being back and delts, but any of the back work it's not like I'm doing a bent row or anything like that. So it's not that demanding. I actually really enjoy that session because it doesn't absolutely fuck me up, whereas pretty much every other session seems to. But yeah, that was quite good. I did change the seated row because I've been using the Watson seated row for the past the past 3 or 4 weeks, and it just doesn't feel as good as a normal seated cable row that I was doing before, like the D-handle seated cable row. Just doesn't feel as good. So I've switched that back. I gave it a bit of a go and I progressed it pretty well and it felt all right, but I feel, I don't know, I can really lock in well on just a normal seated row. I can align it perfectly for me. Yeah. I like it just with the D handles on the separate cables. Like, it feels really nice. So yeah, that was the only change I think that I made. Oh, I'm also doing a single arm lateral as well on the Life Fitness lateral.
Of course you're doing the lateral, mate. Do too many of them.
Laterals, they're galore, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I single arm lateral on the Live Fitness. I just find I can align my joints better with it, and I can connect better. I always find on a dual arm lateral on pretty much any, I just find it fucks my joints up. Like the amount of times that we've done it, and I've been like, just doesn't feel right. Like it always just feels awkward. And I think it's because it almost forces you to slightly retract. Even if you try and keep your shoulders forward, it's very difficult.
How many times I notice it all the time? I literally start like retracting, and I'm like, Reece, stop. It's almost where you start to scrunch up, your traps start to get it, and then you start to almost throw the load around. And like, I can connect really well with my side delts, so I'm quite lucky. But like, I know for you that load is not going through your side delts at all. That will literally
I can stack a lateral machine, but it just feels like utter shit. So like, I'd much rather not do that. I felt a lot better doing it single arm. That was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been decent. Rest day today. All is good. Feeling good. 218 pounds this morning.
Yeah, all that, mate. Yeah, 218 for the first time. Yes.
No, I've been 218 a few times. My average this week.
Not today. It was like a few days ago. I felt like it was the first time I saw 218 on your morning Snapchat. No, Snapchat. I'm fucking using Snapchat in years. Snapchat,
mate,
Instagram.
Shannon still uses Snapchat.
Fucking hell. I genuinely think if you're over the age of like 18 and using Snapchat, you're a danger to yourself at this point. Like, Jesus Christ. But yeah. Saturday session, we pulled. Finn got 230 for 2.
I'm resetting it, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna do. We said that top set was just fucking you.
It's not healthy. Yeah, it's not healthy.
And I got 270. I was quite happy with that. 270 for 4. Probably gonna go 275 next time. Get 4. If I don't get 4, probably stay on that. But I want to get 4. It didn't feel too heavy. It's weird. Whenever I take, that sounds mental to say 270. Didn't feel that heavy. But genuinely, whenever I up the load on any hip hinge now, it kind of it moves a lot slower than it feels. I don't really think, oh fucking hell, that felt heavy. It was just slow to move. And then I got 220 for 13.
Like they're excessively slow.
No. But I just feel like there's not much like snap to it. It's almost where whenever I go, yeah, exactly. But then like 220 for 13, it's like, well, again, I did 220 twice. The weight fell off the side. I did 4 reps. So technically I got 17 reps on 220. It might have just been with a 3 to 4 minute interval because I was pissed off.
10 minutes. I did my set. I did 140.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? Yeah, 140 for 22. So yeah, that was pretty brutal. And then Monday, me and Sanaa went to Leeds. It was my birthday last month, so a bit of a late birthday present, but I mean, it was quite a cool idea. I went to uni in Leeds, in case anyone doesn't know why. So we just kind of enjoyed a few days there. We decided to stay an extra night, which was nice. So I trained at Ultraflex for push on Monday. I did my usual session there. It was quite cool because I hadn't used bits of kit. So I got 7 plates per side on the Atlantis close grip press, which my best before that was like 5.5 for a set of 6. I got a 7 for like 5. It wasn't a poor set, but it was one of them where, like, you do 6 and it was an easy warm. So you're like, right, well, 7's going to be heavy, but I'm not doing 6.5. Like I should have done 6.5, but I wasn't. So if I was there again, probably would have done 6.5, but I was like, right, I'll do 7 for a low rep set, and then I got 6 for I think like 9 afterwards. So that was good. Hammer strength incline press, got 5 plates fresh for a set of 8, I think, and then 4.5 plates for a set of 12, 13. That was all right. And then we did like a high incline Smith. And then Tuesday session was lower, probably one of the best sessions I've had. My knee, Aaron the physio. Kieran, is it Kieran Daly?
Yeah.
He apparently, mate, he got done some physio work by Aaron, and he goes, "Oh, are you Aaron the physio?" And Aaron goes, "Yeah, like of course." And he started like dying apparently in laughter, and he was like, "You've made a burner. You've been asking, that Gio Ashley that we said is Aaron, because the question." He started dying, and Aaron was like, "What's this about?" And then he was like, "Mate, I was so confused." He was just in tears. And he was like, and he goes, "So have you been stitching me up on the podcast?" He like proper said it to me. I was like, "No, we just said that you've been asking us some questions on a fake account." And he was like, "Fucking hell, no." And I was like, "Mate, we didn't actually say it." And no one would know, like, unless they see who we tag, like they wouldn't really know who you are. It's not going like, this guy from this place is making a fake account. So anyway, I've been getting work done on my knee, but it was the best my knee felt. in a decent while. So I got the Atlantis hack 7 plates for 12. I only did 1 set because I just literally probably the best set that I've done in a long while on any squat variant. I probably, if my knee felt good, I probably would have done 8 for like a set of like 6 to 8. But that was good. I did the dumbbell RDL. I got hundreds just because I messaged you when I saw the hundreds, because I saw the hundreds and I like messaged Finn.
You do what I asked you to do.
Drop them on tonight. Hey, I'm surprised I even managed to get them to the bench. I picked them up. I strapped up to pick them up, and I picked one of them up. And I was like,
I know what the 80s feel like, and it's fucking hard work to move.
I was like, I literally said to myself, my head just went, "This isn't moving."
Isn't it weird? What we've said before, like it feels incredibly hard to like even just move the 80, but then when you pick them up and you go into the set, it's not
like nothing
that difficult. Like
they felt light, mate. I finished the set. And I finished the set, and I said to Sanaya and Alex, because one of my clients, Alex, was there, and I said like they were like if I had another rotation, genuinely I would have got probably 15 or 16. I'd get like 5 reps up. It was the size of them, as we said earlier on the dumbbells, and just like that new kind of load with a different sort. I've never done that before, so I wasn't as efficient. But I picked them up, and I literally was like, yeah. Fuck all weight. They didn't feel heavy at all. So yeah, 100 kilo dumbbell RDL. Hammer strength leg press was good. So yeah, my knee's in the best spot it's been. And then Wednesday was just like a push and arms or delts and arms session. As you said, it's the 3rd session for me in a row, and I'm always battered by it. But it's not a battering. I don't feel ruined after the session. I just feel ruined on that day because it's the 3rd training day in a row. So yeah, it was all good. And to be fair, special mention. I know he'll be listening to this Monday morning. Alex probably on his either his way to the gym or way to work. It was lovely to see him. Bought me and Sanara a day pass. So thanks for that for Monday. Saw Andrew. You know Andrew Horn, 78 kilos, like, peeled all year round, eating a ridiculous amount of food. Yeah, he looks really good. And then I saw Mo, who's another one of my clients. So it was quite nice. And then I saw obviously the people that I trained there with when I was there pretty much every day for uni. So yeah, really, really nice few days. Training's been spot on. Nice to be back though. Like said to you, like it's all over the place, and it's like I miss my routine. I miss just being boring, doing the same stuff. So like today was. You've
got to do something every week. You now.
No chance.
You have, mate. I think it's been for every week for the past like month since Christmas.
No, 3. It was Christmas, then Somerset, then Leeds. But Leeds and Christmas are like 3 in 4 weeks. But yeah, hopefully I can have like a month now of just being boring and just doing the same stuff. That would be fantastic. So yeah, that's that. But that's really an update for me. There's not really too much else to report, I don't think. I was 111 kilos this morning, which again is the exact same body weight as I have been. I was 110.4 on the 21st of December. So almost a month later, and body weight isn't really much higher. So I probably will be pushing food up. But then training performance is in such a good spot, and I'm liking how I'm looking. So I'm like, well, I probably will push up when needed. Like I'll probably look to get to like 113 to 115 kilos. But right now, like I'm almost this is the first time my body weight stabilized. So I'm almost just making what I can out of it. And then when food's needed, food will be going up. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Anything else that you wanted to add before getting into the cues?
No, mate. I've got some from last week. I found them, but you can go first if you want. Oh, I've got them ready.
Oh, mate. I haven't got them up. You're going to have to fill this in with some... we need to get...
I asked the one... I asked that one. Okay, cool. So this is from Aria. She's actually asked 2 questions. So one of my clients, Aria, the girl that does posing with Sanaya as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So she asked, how do you improve grip strength, and is it actually important? So I would say, no, it's not important, really. Use your straps. If you're still having issues, I'd say your straps probably aren't on properly. If you're still having issues, maybe you chalk along with your straps. And then if you're still having issues, then yeah, potentially look at doing some grip strengthening exercises like farmer's walks and forearm exercises and things like that.
Yeah, you've answered it, mate. You just said a question, haven't even given me a chance to answer, and then you just go, "Yep, sound."
I know.
Yeah, not really too much
I'm
else.
I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah, can I give a proper meathead answer of like what people say? We're bodybuilders, we're not training our grip. Who the fuck cares? Like you hear people say stuff like that, and it's like, well, obviously you don't want your grip to be a limiting factor. That's for sure. I always get really frustrated, if I'm honest. Like whenever clients say, like, "Oh, mate, my grip let me down." Like there's certain times where. Yeah, there's certain times. where sometimes your grip can let you down. But I usually find it's just from people fucking rushing, strapping up, and maybe their hands are sweaty,
it's also
or their straps are old.
Straps being on the wrong way and stuff like. How many people have
Yeah.
had to say, "Oh, by the way, mate, your straps are on the wrong way. Like, if you put them
Yeah.
like this, it'll feel better." And they do it, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And that's a lot of people who are pretty well trained as well. Like, those little things can really, like, imagine if you're always losing a rep or two on a set because your grip's going, but actually it's the fact that you're not using the strap properly. Like little things like that. So yeah, that's that answered. So I'll just, because she asked another one, mate, I'll do that one as well. What are the benefits of slow reps?
Are you actually going to let me answer? Sorry, I'm interrupting.
I'll do this one as well. Actually, if you want, mate, I'll just do the podcast on my own.
She is your client.
So. What are the benefits? I'll let you answer this one. If you know the answer, you might not know the answer, to be fair. You usually struggle.
Might not.
Actually, I take them because you usually struggle. What are the benefits of slow reps on both eccentric and concentric? And is slow necessary for both? And I also, we might as well.
What's a concentric and what's an eccentric? Sorry, Finn. Could you help? Could you pause the?
Let me pause it. We'll Google it like we usually do.
Yeah. Can you just? Can we just Google it? Find the answer, or should we ask another coach? You go, hey mate, just had a question for the client. Just wondering if I can run it by you.
Go on, answer it. I
got one. No. You're going to say something.
Yeah, you know, Kez. Quace.
Yeah. Quace.
I said Kez because I know that's how you're supposed to say it.
Yeah, but I call it Quace.
So Kez, if you're listening, I pronounce it right. So yeah, basically he asked today, I've not got it in front of me because I'm on last week's, but he asked as well, have you ever thought about timed concentrics and what are your thoughts on them? So let's cover that alongside this. Because Aria asked about tempo on both eccentric and concentric. So what the benefits of slow tempo?
Well, I think tempo manipulation in general, if we were to categorize it as tempo manipulation, definitely has place. Like we've done tempo manipulation before when we've been limited to load. It can be a progression model, so you can go for a slower eccentric. We're going to be stronger in an eccentric phase, so it makes sense to kind of milk what you can out of an eccentric. So, for example, on like the last rep of a press, if you can get it fully short and you can lock it out, you're always going to have that eccentric, unless you've obviously been given like an assisted rep. So it kind of makes sense to milk what you can out of that eccentric phase. Usually as a result of that can get a little bit more at the set. For concentric work, I'm usually especially there's certain body parts I feel like there could be some benefit to, and this is something that we haven't really thought too much about. We've never really kind of played around with concentric kind of training in a sense, have we? Like we've thought about it on some. Some when it's been limited by design. But I think for the vast majority of individuals, like I'm trying to not kind of put myself in a bracket by saying this because there will be benefits to it. But I think for the vast majority of cases, just a fast, explosive concentric, as long as you're not just throwing the weight around, is usually going to be better. And then we also know that as a result of that, we can usually get a little bit more force production. You can usually just activate just a little bit more of the actual musculature that we're trying to work by going for a more explosive concentric. But I think for example, like lateral raises, we did banded lateral raises with a real slow concentric with a nice pause during lockdown periods, and we have played around with concentric training, but like when we've needed to. But when we're in the gym, it's not where we'll be thinking, let's go for a super slow concentric, unless it's maybe something like, let's say, lat training, and we're trying to really get something in line, we're trying to get a good internal feel. But again, it's going to be massively dependent on someone's individual needs. I'd say not for is it Aria, by the way? I don't want to say her name. Yeah, I'd say for Aria, like eccentric should be pretty much standardized across movements. It could be manipulated if needed. Concentrics, I would say for the vast majority of individuals in the gym, if you've got decent amount of kit, they don't really need to be controlled, but they definitely can be. They definitely can be, just to make something more challenging and have almost as a progression model if needed. So, what do you think? What are your opinions? Because you kind of touched on concentrics.
Yeah, so I'll cover it. Like I'll try and cover it in a bit of an order. Like what you've covered there, I agree with completely. But what I try and sort of explain it to clients as, and I always did this as a PT as well, when people go, why do I need to control this bit? Or they'd struggle controlling the eccentric. And I'd always explain, like, look, if you are stronger here, like there's no question about it. I'd always give them an example of, I'd pass them a barbell, like a 10 kilo, like a 30 kilo barbell, sorry. And like give them it here and say, right, control that down. And they'd be able to a bit on a bicep curl, and then they'd snap both biceps, and it was great. No, they'd be able to a bit, but not a lot. Yeah, and then I'd say, right, curl it up, no chance, not moving at all. So there you go. So you've got more strength on that eccentric than you have on the concentric. Same with the squat. You put a bar on someone's back, you tell them to sit down with it and control it. Then you tell them to try and squat up and it's too heavy, no chance. So we're trying to almost fail across a full range. So let's say, I'm not going to give an exact number, but let's say we're stronger on the eccentric, weaker on the concentric. It makes more sense spending more time there to try and fail almost at the same kind of time. Yeah. So when we're approaching failure, we're almost approaching through we're almost failing through the eccentric as well as the concentric. So like you said, on like a final press, like if you're trying to control, like if you finish it and it's really hard to get that last rep short, and you're then trying to control the last eccentric, but you almost can't, that's spot on. Because it's like, right, you've timed that really well. It's quite difficult to get that, but that's kind of why it makes sense, obviously, like you said. But yeah, in terms of what, like she asked about in terms of concentrics, but also what Kez asked in terms of concentrics, like we've done it on a single arm, not a single arm, a single leg press. We've done it on that, or I've at least done it on that.
Yeah, we did. We did a 4-second one, didn't we?
Yeah,
4
4
seconds.
by 4. It was like 4 seconds down, 4 seconds up. The main reason that I wanted to do it on that was because generally I wanted to try and engage a little bit more in terms of where can I feel this? Yeah, trying to feel it almost more on the outside of my quad. Yeah, so it's like little things like that. I feel like if you struggle to engage a certain body part, so like if you've got a weak body part, you struggle to engage it, then slow concentrics can be a good idea to improve that sort of that connection between the movement and actually feeling the movement, that sort of neurological patterning. If you're just chucking the weight, you're probably not going to connect that well. So if you struggle, then I'd almost slow it down before you can learn to connect with it, and then you can probably be a bit more powerful. But another thing I say with clients as well is there's a big difference between chucking a weight and moving a weight with power and control. So if you're chucking a weight, like a lat pull downs or like single arm lat pull downs, always a good one. You can see the difference between like this would be like dragging it with power, where you're sort of like dragging the elbow down to the hip, whereas like chucking it would be you'd see the whole body move, you'd see
shoulder,
throw everything. It from A to B. And I think, you know, if you're trying to throw a weight from A to B, yes, you might feel the squeeze at the bottom, but you're missing out on that whole concentric really. So there's still a level to it. So those concentrics, they still need to be controlled to an extent, don't they? You know, it's not just like, even when we're pressing with power, but we're not just trying to throw it about and we're not letting everything else take over. So there's levels to it. But yeah, like I think, like you said, in terms of a progression model, if you're trying to increase like time under tension, and let's say you're doing already like really slow eccentrics, and you know you think, right, how can I progress this further? Especially if you've maxed out, let's say it's on for example like a hamstring curl, and you've maxed out the stack or something like that. Like, okay, right, let's focus on pauses, let's focus on slower concentrics. So yeah, there's ways that we can do that. But I think the main benefit for me, in my opinion, of doing those is for almost more of an intensifier in terms of an internal feel and more sort of metabolic stress and blood flow through increasing the time under tension. But yeah, it's quite interesting. But I don't think, like, I wouldn't recommend it for everything. I'd use it as an intensifier when needed.
Yeah, I think it would be one that like you literally could control. If we were to go into a lockdown and you were to have banded movements, or you were to have limited load, and you've, let's say, a year lockdown and you've got bands and a 10-kilo dumbbell, once you've rinsed a 2-second eccentric to a 3-second eccentric to a 4-second eccentric to a 2-second hold on contraction to a 2-second hold on the lengthen, you then could play around as like a final resort, hoping that Boris reopens the gyms and you're like, right, fuck it, I'm on concentric training here, or concentric manipulation. That could be something you go towards. And like I said, with what Finn mentioned and what we mentioned, there's definitely going to be time and place, but I would most likely shy away for the vast majority unless it's going to be really, really required. But it's one that I think could definitely have some, like, years down the line, we might change our opinions. There might be some new literature that comes out. There might be, but in general, right now, I'd say we're probably.
I think in terms of internal feel and in terms of,
there's plenty of positives.
In terms of it, like doing it as an intensifier, like I've got no issues with it, but I wouldn't do it throughout all of training. Like I wouldn't. Generally, when I program my tempos for everybody, majority of exercises have like a forward slash for the concentric, meaning like I don't want you to overthink how fast or how slow you're driving up a hack squat. Just fucking get up, like that kind of thing. But if it was like at the end of a session and it was a more of an isolation that we were trying to create more stress, more time and attention, then we might look at adding in 3-4 second concentric as well.
Yeah, no, okay, I agree. We've got Toby Warner. Used to ask loads of questions. Hasn't really asked any. You know, my client Toby used to ask them all when we first started. But yeah, he's come through with another question. Bent over rows. How much momentum should you use? Everyone says different things. Just throw it around, bro. That's what I say, bro. Just throw this weight around.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Like, I'm not going to give a certain degree. Like, right,
mate, you ended up on the form police for your bent rows. You can't answer.
You're only allowed 15 degrees of spinal extension or anything like that. Like,
yeah,
generally, like what I would say is, and it's quite hard because you might film the video, you film it from a different angle, it looks good. You film it from the next angle, it looks shit. Like, what I would say is bend over, row the weight. How does it feel? Does it feel like your back has been stimulated well? Did you make that challenging, or did you just stand up with it every rep? Like, if you'll know the difference, like if you're not expecting to do it where you're staying parallel with the floor and you're hinged over a full sort of 90-degree angle, I'm not expecting that, but I'm also not expecting you to just turn it into a shrug right at the end of the set where the last 3-4 reps are pretty poor. There's a level to it. And one thing that I try and sort of cover with my clients when they send the videos over is I'll say, like, make sure that the movement isn't initiated from the knees or the hips. Make sure it's initiated from the scapula. So yeah, try and stay over it. Dumbbells to like mid shin. Make sure that you're initiating the weight with the scapula. If you're not doing too much through the knees and the hips, then it's probably going to be pretty good. Or if you do the 60s for 4 reps, you'll get on the form police.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. Or you bent rows with the barbell a year before.
Oh yeah,
so
I love my bent rows.
So, yeah, 2 times, mate. You've been busted.
To be fair, the bent rows with the barbell were poor. The bent rows with the dumbbells were pretty good.
I don't think that was that bad.
It was just a low rep set.
Yeah, it was a low rep set. I think we kind of screen capped the last like 2 reps. You know, like I saw it and I was like, again, it's weird. Like, it's not bad. That's not a bad set. Like, it wasn't like I videoed. It wasn't as bad. The angle probably wasn't playing much of a help, but who the fuck cares? So yeah. Fair enough, Toby. I'm going to go with 2 questions because I know it's mine, but they're actually linked. Not with Toby's. DP20, another one of my clients, Dan Park. Clearly really food focused. Death row meal, starter, main, dessert, and then Tesco meal deal.
Oh, I like these questions. I like it when we can chat about these kind of shit things.
Tesco meal deal. I don't even know what is a meal deal like a bag of crisps, a sandwich, and a drink? I don't know what a meal deal is. I've never bought a meal deal.
You get a drink, you get a snack, which can be like chocolate bar, crisps.
A bar? Could be like
maybe you can have that if you want. And then a sandwich or pasta or something like that.
Oh, like the pasta and chicken and stuff like that, like the little boxes that you get the little plastic fork.
Let's do the first one first. What was the
death row meal? Okay, starter, main, dessert.
All right, I don't know. I struggle with these ones.
Yeah, I do.
Starter. To be fair, when me and Shannon go out for food, usually when we get if we get a starter, we'll get like a mushroom bruschetta. I'll have that.
Fucking hell, this is more fancy than me. I've never.
So it's like, it's nice, mate. Like from I can't remember. Where was it? From when we went to the Ivy in Bath. It wasn't called mushroom bruschetta, but it was something like that, mate. It was fucking ridiculously good. It was better than
a mushroom bruschetta? Can you help me?
Bruschetta is a form of bread.
Okay.
And then
mushroom bread.
It usually comes with like a mushroom sauce and mushrooms. Yeah, it's good. So I'll have something like that.
I'll have the halloumi sticks from Nando's. That's all I know. Like, halloumi sticks are sound. Yeah, they're good. They're good. That's what I go for. Yeah. Main. Yeah, main.
Trying to think, like, last meal that you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
I'd probably have a really good pizza.
I would. Yeah, pizza. Yeah. Pizza. That'd be pretty.
Not going to give an exact one. Like, yeah. Just like a really nice one.
It doesn't really matter. You'd be dead. You'd be dead the following day.
But it matters at the time. It matters the most a meal has ever.
I wouldn't be able to enjoy it because I'd be like, I'm fucking dead tomorrow.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, I'd just be sat there like
accepted that. If you'd been told, right, on this day you're gonna die, like, so get your meal in, like, tell me what your order's gonna be.
Yeah.
So my usual like, it depends what time it is. If it's M3, time for M3, I just have usual M3.
Yeah, usually M3. They're like, okay, fair enough. What's that? 100 carb, like 10 fat, and then like 50 protein. Yeah, that's right, mate. Yeah, sound.
Make it however you want, as long as you hit those macros. If it fits your macros approaching it, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. And then dessert. What you gonna? I'm gonna get an Oreo milkshake from
Bet you like
Coco.
a fat mess.
Mate, no need to be mean. Come on.
I'm not because of. Oh, actually, I do know what I'd get. I'd get.
I don't know what to get. You know, I don't. I don't.
I do. It's come straight into my mind.
Yeah.
I'd get cookie dough dessert. Probably. I'd probably get like a white Kinder Bueno flavored cookie dough dessert.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. That sounds good. Yeah, that did sound quite good. So yeah, that was that. I just get an Oreo milkshake. It's mental. I feel like if you were to listen to that, you'd be the one sounding like you just come out of a prep. Let alone me. I'm just like, I sound.
I don't know.
Don't
like,
know.
I feel like those. Yeah, I'm not like, oh, I really want that. It's just like if it was my last meal, like those are the. If like now I was told what if someone was to say right, we're going to go out for food and you've got like if I had loads of choices, they're on the menu. They're like the three things I'd probably pick.
Yeah.
So it's not like
it's
like.
We should have been asked. Like a good question would be like worst bit of food you've had over the last year. Like, that'd be quite a good question.
Well, I'd say why don't you ask me it then?
No, because no one's asked us. I'd say Chiquitos, wank, or the Pizza Hut that we had. You know, together.
That we had was horrendous.
Fucking awful. That was awful. I was a week after.
And you liked it.
No. I didn't mind. I was just like, it was 10 days after a show. I had 3 slices, I think, and I was like, yeah, it's all right.
Vile, like really bad.
Yeah. It wasn't that good. So yeah, that's that. You want to go for your questions, mate?
No, I got the meal deal question.
Oh, meal deal. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, meal deal. I don't even know what. Like I said, I would not know what a meal deal is. Drink.
I feel like
it's going back to my old days. Oasis Orange when I was like 13. I used to love them. Oh, the orange Oasis.
Get that. I'd probably get
water. Oh my god! Did you see that?
Did you spill?
Yeah, this is too big. I just dropped it. It just went all over my eye. It went in my eye. Oh god!
This is too big. It went in my eye.
Just stop getting in my eye. It's a 1MR that my mum got me.
Best shake in the game.
Shake of the game about Josh Bridgman. Cheers to the comment, Bridgie, the other day. Big Bridgie. Commented on my photo. Big Bridgie. Me and Big Bridgie are best mates. No, my mum bought some 1MR cups, so she thought she'd get me a bottle. It's fucking massive. Like, look at that. It's huge. So,
I would get a raspberry Pepsi
Cherry. Cherry's better than raspberry, mate.
No.
It is. It's so much better. But poll on Spotify. Cherry or raspberry?
Actually, Pepsi. It's not that much of a ball ache to do that. So, thing is, cherry's been out for a lot longer, so it's not fair.
Yeah, I think cherry's a lot better, personally. But you go raspberry, right? Pepsi Max is what we're going for a drink.
We're doing it ourselves. You can't change now. You said Oasis.
Oh no, I said if I was 13, I'd go for an Oasis. I haven't had an Oasis since I was legitimately 13.
All right, well, we don't need to talk about what we would have had 10 years ago. We're talking about now.
Yeah, okay. Pepsi Max cherry.
Pepsi Max raspberry. All right, what would your snack be?
Snack. Probably a grenade bar, I'd say. Like, I don't really know. You're going to try it out, do you?
No, I don't think they do grenade bars. I don't know.
Are the snacks like crisps or like a chocolate bar?
Yeah, you've got like crisps, chocolates, and then like other things like they do like Scotch eggs and fridge raiders and shit like that.
Yeah. I haven't had a bag of crisps in over a year, 2 years.
I can't remember the last time I had crisps.
No, I can't.
Oh, actually, did I have a few at Christmas? But I haven't had a bag of crisps myself for probably 10 years.
I had a bowl of crisps that was in front that I made that everyone took into. Last night. Yeah, last night. Literally before this.
I can't remember. Halfway through.
Just like, you see rappers in the back and just like, Reece, there's some walkers. Like, no.
Massive tub of Pringles in the background.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't had Pringles in ages. Like literally, legitimately since I was in school, I'd say last time I had Pringles. There was a lad called James Rummery who used to bring in, a tub of Pringles, and the second he got them out, people would be like, "Yo, James, spare me a Pringle." And he'd just be giving them. And by the time he actually got into himself, he probably only have like a quarter of the pack. He'd just give them out.
Kids like that, weren't there? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Why would you do that? Were they the kids that just had loads of money, so they always had shit?
I don't know, but he always had a new tub of Pringles, and he was just really nice. He was just a kind guy. Everyone was like, "James, give me a Pringle." And then you go up to him like, James, have another Pringle. And he give you a few. And you go, right, there you go.
Buy your friendship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I don't know what my snack would be. I'm going to say fridge raiders, because I have had those chicken fridge raiders before, and they're actually all right. I think you get like...
Are they the little cooked pieces of chicken?
Yeah, like 10 grams of protein or something.
I wouldn't know. I've never had them. I wouldn't know. Pack of crisps.
Have a grenade bar, mate. Just let's say that they do it. Yeah. They do that. It's fine.
I have a grenade bar. A glorified chocolate bar. That's what I'll have. And then for our main, I've had the pasta and chicken before, and I actually thought they were pretty good. Right? Yeah. I'm not a fan of the sandwiches. I think the bread's too dry when I've ever had them. And they're like 28 grams of fat in one. And I look at it, I'm like, how is there 28 grams of fat?
I think like some of them are all right. Because I used to have them sometimes, you know, when I worked, like, mate, when I was like 19, when I worked at Next, or 18, when I lived back at home, I used to go to Asda and get meal deals quite a lot. And I think like one of the chicken salad ones was like 8 grams of fat. So that was all right.
Okay. Yeah.
But I used to get the chicken pasta, chicken tomato pasta. But what is really nice, if you're not asked about the fats, chicken Caesar salad wrap. That's good.
Oh, I've had them. Yeah, they're good. Yeah. Like I said, the wraps though are mental, because you look at them, they're so small, and like I said, they're literally like the sandwiches and wraps have a stupidly high amount of fat for what they should. Like I almost want to look at it and be like, where's the fat in this? Because it shouldn't be that high. Yeah, it shouldn't be that high. Like I should get my scales and be like, look, Tesco, do you mind if I just kind of just
weigh all this out?
Yeah, weigh all this out and be like, oh, fuck.
From the sauce, isn't it? The Caesar sauce, the Caesar dressing, quite high fat.
I agree. Right, your question if you want, mate. Good questions though, Dan. I mean, again, like considering you're in a gaining phase, mate, 2 questions about food. Like if you were back end of a diet, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough, he's a bit food focused, but
this is from Bulking Since Birth. You know, the guy who trains at Warehouse.
Yeah.
I've never seen him in Warehouse.
No, I've never. I think he's asked me a question, or he tagged us in a story.
He trains earlier than we do. I don't know. Yeah. Top 5 gyms you've both trained at in the UK.
Okay.
The Mecca, Ultraflex Rotherham, best gym in the game. That's number 1.
At Cuba. At Cuba Ceiling or whatever. Ceiling?
Italian.
Yeah. Ultraflex Rotherham, Ultraflex Leeds, Progress Works. Fuck that. No, I'd say Ultraflexes are like top tier. I can't really put into with the gym. Like Ultraflex is just if you have an Ultraflex and it's within 30 minutes of you, 45 minutes of you, I'd probably say just go there. Like, if not, there's a few, like all the gyms in Leicester are very meh. There's good gyms, they're not bad, but there's not one gym that you have to go to. Like, it's not, this is the place to be, that says so on the Evo wall. I said. So, yeah, I like Evo Evolution Fitness in Leicester. I like it there.
Yeah, but we can't say that's like a top 5 gym in the UK.
No, definitely not. No, but I was more saying like I like Premier. Premier's sound. Yeah. Would it the top 5 gym in the UK? No. Warehouse very easily could be. To be fair, it should be based on the size, the location, the available, like the kit there could be so much better. Like, that could be a top 5 gym.
There's some like really good pieces, but then there's also a lot of shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's a bit of a shame.
Imagine if that could be an Ultraflex.
An Ultraflex. Yeah, 100% could be an Ultraflex. You know, Ultraflex Leeds is half the size of Warehouse. Half the size. But like, you look at the kit. Yeah, Warehouse is huge. Warehouse has everything that you would need to be like a top gym in England, and it's not. So it's a shame. And that is, like I said, is a bit of a shame, but it could be. So yeah, I'd say Ultraflexes would be like a non-negotiable. If you had
all the Ultraflexes, I guess.
Yeah, if we just categorise them as one. Have you trained at any, like, I know, did you train at Prophecy when you were there? What would you said that was all right?
Yeah,
I feel like when you trained at an Ultraflex, there's not really any other gym chains.
Like, Prophecy's all right. Like, it's good.
Like, I trained at that Tatum's or Tatham's Powerhouse gym. Cool gym. That was that. Like, it was cool. Like, there wasn't like, I wouldn't be
about that elite fitness.
Was it? Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
that was small though, mate. That was small. That wasn't that big. That had good bits of kit. Had prime pieces. It had like a good shoulder press. But
what about that one in Redditch? That yellow one,
the Elite Fitness one. Yeah, again, same. Like
that's called Elite Fitness, isn't it? And then the other one's called like Elite SK, the one in Stockport.
Yeah. So the Elite Fitness Redditch, me and Sinai trained there on the way to that Team Evo kind of like meal, and night out but I didn't drink. It was fantastic. That was, the gym was sound. Like, it was all right, but like there wasn't, like, for back, there wasn't really any Panata bits of kit. It was like, again, I feel like, again, when you trained at Ultraflexes, you can pick flaws in any real gym, and it was cool. The setup was cool. The place was cool. But again, I wouldn't be like, oh, I need to train there. Like, Future is okay in Coventry. It's an okay gym. I feel like if it's not an Ultraflex, just the vast majority of gyms is just like, yeah, okay, sound. There's not really much complaints. There's the kit's all right, but there's not really one gym that has everything. Where, like, if we were to live half an hour away from an Ultraflex, we'd train there every day. There wouldn't really be much of a doubt. We might train somewhere different.
It's only an hour for me. It was like 55 minutes, mate. It's really not that far.
Yeah. And
it's like an extra like 40 minutes for you.
Yeah, I just need to sleep around yours, mate. On the days we train, I'll be like, I just sleep around Finn's.
Shannon can sleep on the sofa.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, me and you in bed. Shannon out. Oh, Reece is coming out tonight, and Shannon's like, oh, what do you mean? Yeah, see you later. See you later, boys. Enjoy M5 together in bed. That's what it would be. But yeah, sound. Catch you later. But yeah, top 5 gyms, we've given one Ultraflex. That's it.
Yeah, sorry that's not any better than that, but yeah, like I could name 4 other gyms that are all right, but it's just probably not really worth it, and I can't really tier them that well.
Yeah.
Go on, mate. Unless you've got any, because no one likes you.
Didn't ask any, mate. That's what it was. Gio Ashley won. Who wins in an arm wrestle? We've already answered. We don't know. Probably me, because I'm heavier. And
yeah, but I don't think I'd want to do it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Like, I literally, someone was like, yo, bro, arm wrestle. I'd be like, no, sorry.
We've answered that before, haven't we? That we were like, we just wouldn't do it, as boring as that is.
Yeah, we have Halo Gym _Harvey. So Harvey from Halo Gym, with an underscore in between, believe it or not. That's what I said. Harvey. Halo.
What's his name and what gyms do you go to?
Halo Harvey Gym. That's what it could be. If intensity and execution are spot on, can you get much growth out of 1 time per week frequency? So training something 1 time per week. We've trained. I train pull 1 time per week frequency. My back's all right. I've trained lower 1 time per week.
I think that's where you should start. Like, if you think about it, like if you were to really just focus on like if you imagine like 1 set of each like main movement once a week, like of course you're gonna grow. Like, and then over time, obviously you'll escalate your volume up and everything. But yeah, like 100%, especially like.
Of course you escalate volume, mate. You're telling me you don't escalate volume.
Volume escalation is everything now.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think like 100%. I think it's very easy. Like nowadays, and I actually was saying this to a client, like people almost think the only way to build more muscle is by adding more sets now. And it's like, that's not the only way. Like, yes, we need to progress volume in one way over time, but a really good way of doing that is by adding load over time, or even by adding reps over time in terms of the sets that you're already doing. So yeah, like 100%, you don't need to have frequency up at 3 times. It can help, and I think it's definitely beneficial on smaller body parts that are less demanding. But yeah, I think for some bigger muscle groups, I do think a lot of the time less frequency is actually beneficial, and just really focusing on getting very, very strong on like the basic movements.
Yeah, I also think as well, like there's going to be plays like, for example, that kind of go into that. So for example, the stronger you are, it's going to be playing an impact, like some level of, it's like, for example, if you're ridiculously strong, you're probably not going to be able to get away with 2 to 3 times per frequency. I know I wouldn't be able to probably nail my posterior chain and hip hinge twice per week, or I won't be able to train pull twice per week with our pull sessions are brutal. Like the 2 sets of a dumbbell bent over row, 2 sets of a stiff leg deadlift. There's no surprise that Finn actually has pull at 2 times per week frequency, but you literally mentioned earlier your pull that session isn't that demanding. Like you're not doing anything bent over with load. It's literally all chest supported work or just single arm work, where it's more so
it's between like a pull day and a back day, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I feel like again, a lot of people are married to like 2 times per week frequency, and I say like literature does suggest 2 times per week frequency seems to be a good spot for overall kind of hypertrophy, and that's a good thought process. But as you get stronger, do you need everything at 2 times per week frequency? No, you definitely don't. Like we said on the last few podcasts, some of our best trainings when we were training 4 times a week and we were just upper lower, we had prioritization regarding certain days where we do a flat bench, the other days we do a bent over row as our main movement, and we just got stronger doing the basics. So yeah, I'd even say as well, if intensity, you could even say execution. If execution isn't even spot on, you could still, if your intensity is good, you can still just do 1 time per week and still grow. So obviously having execution intensity, 100%.
Yeah,
And then you
on the
mix
level
it in
you're
with
at as
being
well.
stronger. What'd you say, sorry?
Depends on the level you're at. Like the higher level you're at, then obviously the sort of less returns you're going to get. But definitely early years of training, like if you're just getting stronger and even on once a week, you're definitely going to be able to grow still, aren't you? For years as well. Like that's not just like the first year, like probably for many years.
Yeah, definitely. Your question, if you want, mate.
Will Bertolini, good old Will. Most aesthetic muscle in your opinion? The penis.
Yeah, no, mine's not, mate. Definitely not. As Sanaya said on the WhatsApp video that I showed you. Penis? No. God, no. I didn't
you also
say
said
that.
you've got a big penis. No, I didn't.
That was at the rave, yeah. Basically, guy.
We spoke about this.
Did we?
I'm pretty sure we spoke about it last week.
Really? I'm not too sure. Anyway, confirmed. Definitely not me, mate. That's for sure. Sanaya's confirmed that. Cheers, Sanaya. Does he mean on our physiques or just in general?
I think just in general. Most like what do you deem as?
Will, if I'm being honest, Will, I just absolutely love a rock solid pair of biceps. It's just so aesthetically pleasing. I just love some biceps. Anyone want to send me some bicep photos? I just really love a good set of biceps. No, I think delts look good because it gives you just a wider appearance. Maybe that's my men's physique kind of body part coming through. But then I actually think personally, like if you have a ridiculous set of quads, I have a lot of respect because I'll just be like, yeah, you fucking train well, you train hard. Like if you just got
this is a bit of a cop out of an answer, but it's like if you had one but not the rest, it doesn't really matter. So it's not aesthetic if you don't, you know what I mean? Like bodybuilding's about symmetry and balance and flow. If you've got just one like really good muscle group, it's not going to look that aesthetic. So it all complements each other. Like if I look at someone's physique and they've got mint quads, I'm probably not looking at the quads. I'm probably thinking, well,
I didn't imagine it like that though. I imagined it like somebody kind of like, let's say, wearing like a jumper and they've just pulled their trousers down, and I'm just like,
why have you imagined it like that?
No, and I'm just looking at them, looking at their quads. I'm like, their quads are good.
Someone in a jumper just pulling their trousers down. That's all I'm thinking.
Me in a posing room and going, fucking hell, mate, your quads are amazing.
That's a nice set of quads.
That's a lovely set of quads. No, I'm not imagining it like they're standing in front of me and I'm assessing their physique. I'd be more like they're like pulling their trousers down and then just showing me their favourite muscle, which is their quads. Or
and then bending you over. Is that what you're
in your case, you're cock. And in my case, I'd be like my glutes. So it would just be like, well, yours.
Well, they just kind of meet in the middle. Might as well pair them up.
Yeah, but as well, it would be a shame not to. God, Will, we're sorry, mate. Since the start, I started saying about the biceps. We just turned this awfully camp and homosexual or slightly weird. So I do apologise, Will. But yeah, I agree with Finn's answer. But I think if I was to pick one, I think, like I said, good shape, good pair of quads wouldn't be a bad shout. But yeah.
To be fair, I do kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, it is impressive. It's like, oh, fucking hell, it's a good set of quads, that.
Well, imagine, like, you know what I'd find quite funny if it was just like a ridiculous set of traps, like huge. I'd just be like, fair enough, mate. You look like a fucking tank. Like,
quite common, to be fair, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, right. We got Alex_Kingsley. So again, that I saw in Leeds. Thought pretty good question. This is. He's asked 2. I don't know if I asked one of them. Did I ask last week most brutal intensifier you've programmed? I don't know if I asked that.
I don't think so.
Right, we'll answer both then. So first one, we'll go through that actually because I've already mentioned it. Most brutal intensifier you programmed yourself. So I don't know if this is for other clients or whatever. I think the first one that comes up to apparent, the single leg triple drop set continuous with a pause that we did, at periods of time. Horrible. The pause, do you remember that high rep paused hack that we had at the start of last year? That was like a 20 to 25 repper that we didn't have enough load for when we didn't get that load. So it was like a real high rep set. That 6x8 cluster that you did on the leg press. Do you remember that? First rotation during lockdown training. It was like a 6x8. It was like 40 plus reps. I remember. It was
fucking hell, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
That was ages ago.
Yeah, I remember.
And it was against the wall on the left as you walk in.
Yeah, I remember spotting that set. Brutal.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, cluster sets are pretty grim, aren't they?
Yeah. If they're nasty by design, like you can do a 4x4 cluster and it feel just like 16
but
minutes.
like if you're doing it to the level that you like, I would expect like you'd want people doing it too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd also say like a giant set on a leg extension, like a really high rep leg extension. Like I did it. I have it. Obviously, we spoke about it at the end of my leg sessions. I do just like a 50 rep giant set. Pretty much try and get like 20 to 25 reps without pausing, and then just pause as many times as needed until I get 50. I did that on the plate loaded prime leg extension, loaded in the length and range. Fucking hell, it was grim. Like it was good though. Like it's a nice feeling though. So I don't know if I can call it like the most disgusting, because it's like a nice feeling, but it's painful.
Yeah. No. Makes
Maybe
sense.
a cluster set is worse than that because it's just more demanding.
Yeah, and like the rack process. Yeah, I'd say a cluster. Alex, the reason why he's asked is I've got him doing a triple drop Smith split squat at the end of one of his lower sessions.
No.
And I said, I was like, mate, it could be worse. You could get to that final drop and then do a rest pause on top. I was like, it could always be worse.
Have another drop.
Yeah, it could be like a quad drop or something. Like quad drop for your quads to literally drop afterwards. That would probably be something that could be programmed. But yeah, there's plenty that spring to mind. And some of those sets, like I said, I think about them and there's nothing but like pain and anguish in the moment. But like I look back and go, yeah, they're the sets. Like, they're good. Yeah, they're the most.
You always feel good after. Like even when you feel grim, you feel good for it.
Yeah, definitely. I like the stuff that kind of scares you. Get to the end of a lower session, you're ruined, and you're like, right,
time to do
the stupid shit. That's what it is. Yeah.
Right, I'm going for a wee, so you can do this next question.
Right, sound. We'll crack on. So Alex has also asked thought process when adjusting food in gaining phases, when/what to adjust. And to be fair, it's a bit of a shame that Finn's not here to answer. So hopefully I can kind of string this on for a long enough point. But it's going to be very, very person dependent and where you are in a phase. Obviously, if you're coming out of a dieting phase, it almost makes sense to, let's say, if you've been in a compromised position from like your fat intake, let's say you've pulled fats down. Obviously, fats are going to play a massive role in overall well-being, hormonal functions, and just general kind of fluctuations. So it's going to make sense to kind of get fats up into a range that's most likely going to be maybe not optimal, but at least into a healthier spot. So fats could be something you play around with. We then have carbohydrates. Obviously, carbohydrates, don't want to sound cliche, but the main source of fuel for energy for the body. So, and then as well, we're going to be playing a role in recovery. So glycogen replenishment in general, which is going to be one of the main energy sources that we utilize while we train. So it makes sense to prioritize having a high carbohydrate-based diet. I've always been a fan of pulling down. If I've got my total calories set at, let's say, 4,000, I would much rather the bulk majority of that be through carbohydrates relative to keeping fats in a healthy spot for optimal growth than just to kind of have fats at maybe 100 to 120 grams, etc. Yes, they take up the total calories, but it therefore can pull away from performance. So Finn, the question is thought process when adjusting food and gaining phases. And just to summarize, because you haven't listened, I basically said it massively depends on where the individual is at. For example, coming out of a dieting phase, it would make sense to, if you've pulled down fats, got them into a suboptimal position, getting fats up into an optimal position. But then from that point, you obviously want to be working up carbohydrates. I feel like protein could be worked up as a result of your carbohydrates go up, because obviously if your carbohydrates are getting higher, it's going to result in obviously your protein from incomplete sources getting higher, but it's going to again be very person dependent and where it's going to be at. So for example, let's say if you were to have a client come to you, or a client, let's say you're working with him 6 months, he needs a food adjustment, he's got a train day, non-train day, I'm guessing you'll have a big variance in between them. What would your thought process be for someone like that? Would you have, it's very person dependent, isn't it? It's hard to answer, like, but would you have any input?
Pretty much what you said, mate. Like prioritize carbs as much as you possibly can, push them as high as you can, only really increase the protein and the fats when needed based on those carbs going up. And if it gets to a point where the client's really, really struggling to get more carbs in, then I would argue you can either look at increasing the fats a bit more, or you can even just look at increasing the rest day food a bit more. But I do quite like having rest days as like lower food days and just pushing the carbs on training days as much as possible.
Yeah, I actually wanted to kind of continue on this because I've got one. It's kind of a good thing where like I've had, and this is, I get a bit. I'm guessing you have clients like this at times where you might give them, let's say, that calories. Oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry, mate. I forgot about that. A bit of a touchy subject. Well, when Finn had clients, so you might have to run your mind back a few months. When you had some clients, you ever had like clients where they'll have their, let's say you set the calories up at 4,800, quite high, like not going to be an easy level of food to get in if your structure's pretty poor, and you might have their fat set at 65 grams on a training day, and their carbohydrates up at whatever would need to be high to get obviously their calories up to where they need to be, and they might get their total calories in, and their carbs to fat ratio is pretty poor. Like they're having a lot higher fats. And I always say to them, like, you can get away with this for a certain amount of time, but it's going to get to a point where you're going to feel pretty sluggish. It's obviously going to be easier to get in because 1 gram of fat equates to 9 calories, 1 gram of carbs equates to 4 calories. So if you were to say, right, get 5,000 calories in, or 4,800, you said in this example, and you were to say, get it in as easy as possible, I think short term, yeah, get in fats, it's going to be easier. But then you're going to get to a point where you're going to feel really sluggish. Your optimization and utilization of those nutrients are not going to be there. We know fats play a massive role in slowing down the digestion of carbohydrates, so you're not going to be that efficient at actually going through food. Like, for example, on rest days right now, I always feel really full just because I have higher fats in each meal, and my fats aren't even that high by design. It's actually like 82 grams. So if I was to have my fat stupidly high, like 100, 110, 120, 130 grams, and I'm not going to say that's stupid. I think there can be benefit and reference for that, but I often think it almost is like long term definitely going to be holding you back, and it's actually harder to get your carbohydrates higher, and it's just because people don't want to eat plain foods that are just solely focused on carbohydrates. Like, how many times have I said to you, I'd struggle to have my fats higher than 60 grams or 70 grams on training days. I've had my fats at like 30 and 40 grams before, and I'm like, yeah, sound, I could easily do that year round. And it's more so just getting them into a position from more like a health perspective where it's going to be optimal, you know?
Yeah, you have that. I feel like you have that separation with clients where you have the ones who actually struggle to get the fats in, and then you have the ones who struggle to keep them down. I think a lot of that's just based on your upbringing, based on your pool of foods that you use. And usually I just try and sort of educate people on, right, look at whole foods a little bit more. When I say that, I mean like whole macro foods. So, right, here's your protein sources. They're pretty much solely protein, minimal carbs, minimal fats. Likewise for carbs, likewise for fats, and try and use those as like your main foods, so that you're not going, oh shit, well, I had my protein meal. My protein in that meal was 50 protein, but it also meant I had 20 fats. Obviously, if you want that, then fine. Using something like beef or like salmon, yeah, great. But if you're trying to keep your fats down on a training day, then beef and salmon are probably not your best bet. Yeah, so you just got to like learn a little bit more, take a bit of time, plan ahead, make sure that you get that sort of planned out, so right, okay, actually, beef and salmon's probably not good for a training day, but rest day food's higher, fats are higher. We're trying to get some more essential fatty acids in anyway, so it makes sense having them in there. But yeah, it just takes time. But yeah, I completely agree in terms of short versus long term with fats. Like, if we were trying to do a food challenge, like a 10K challenge, like your fats are going to be crazy high. But if you're trying to actually work your food up over time and actually gain benefit from that in terms of performance, and there's a load of data on the fact that a higher carb diet versus a higher fat diet for athletes is much more beneficial to be on higher carb, why would you not try and do that? Why would you not try and make the most of it when you're doing all the other things, all the other minor percentages like tracking your sleep and tracking your steps and taking supplementation? Why would you neglect something as important as the balance between carbs and fats just because I don't really like having rice, or just basically by being a bit lazier?
Yeah, no, I agree. And like I said, it's always the individuals where long term they're the ones that you struggle to get their food higher because they're like, oh, I'm so full after a few months of having higher food,
or they just don't adhere.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
their sort of their mentality towards food has always been sort of, oh well, having rice and chicken and veg, I can't have that all the time. It can't be healthy. I need to have something else. Like, it's like, well, you don't actually. If you get into a good routine, you don't obviously have to have that exact meal. But the amount of times I've said to clients, like, I guarantee your time management will be better, your routine will be better. It'll save you time decision making. You'll generally feel so much better for eating the same foods. And as long as you actually make sure that those foods are foods that you enjoy, that doesn't mean they have to be crazy high fat. Like, it'd be nice. We'd all maybe want to have donuts every day, but realistically, you're not going to feel good. Yeah, exactly. You're not going to feel good for it. Like, it might sound nice if you're like, oh, I wish I could fit donuts into my diet every day, but would you actually?
Like,
no, exactly. Like,
Like, I said this before, but like over the festive period, like I had 4 meals a day for like 3 days, and like my foods were a little bit heavier in like calorie dense meals, and like there was a few meals that were a bit different or foods, and I just felt like my stomach just doesn't feel good. I do not feel good. I wouldn't want to eat again. Like I wouldn't be able to have fit a 5th meal in, which means my calories would have been inconsistent, and it would just been a right fucking ball ache because I wouldn't have felt good within myself. Like I said to Snai recently, like when we've been away here or there, like foods have been, and not my food's been pretty much the same, but let's say we've had like an off-plan meal, whatever. I always struggle to eat the level of calories I need to. Like I woke up again lighter today than when I actually went away, based off the fact that I can't ever overeat on foods that are not my usual, because I literally just like I get full and my stomach doesn't feel good. And I know that's probably a hard, like people might hear that and go, fucking hell, that's a nice problem to have. He loses weight if he eats off plan.
Yeah, but you learn, like, well, not you learn, you earn that right.
Yeah.
Like it's difficult to gain weight at the point that you're at, and likewise the point that I'm at, like with the food that I'm on, it's difficult to gain weight, but you have to earn the right to get there. It takes a lot of time and effort to get there. It takes a lot of adherence to eating the same, working it up over time and training really hard. It takes a lot of time to get to that point.
If we were to like go on holiday, like me and you, and we were to still train, same standards, do exactly the same, I can guarantee we would struggle to not come back lighter, just off the fact that we'd be probably a bit more active, and we'd literally be like, right, we need to fucking eat. Like, but we'd make it apparent. We'd be like, right, this is my breakfast. This is what I need. And I'd almost kind of go off feedback. And
I remember when I went to Egypt, and this is like 2 years ago, like ages ago, and I came back. I think I came back like a kilo or 2 lighter, and I was eating 5 meals a day. My last meal, I was obviously all inclusive. I was having ice cream when I fancied it and stuff. Like, and I still came back lighter.
That bastard.
I was having it all the time.
You're all inclusive. You're like, I paid for this ice cream. Shannon, stop judging me.
Like, but no, I still came back lighter because I was still training and because I wasn't force feeding myself every day.
Yeah.
Like I was eating very similar, but it was obviously it's not quite the same. I was having meals at my normal times, and I was eating good food choices that I enjoy. And like if we went out for a meal, it'd be like a chicken-based dish or whatever. But yeah, still like ended up coming back lighter because it's not the same as pushing food hard in the off season, is it? It's not the same.
No, definitely not. Right, got any questions, or do you want to do
I've got quite a lot more, but I need to have a meal, mate.
Yeah, I need to eat. Do you want to do one more and we'll wrap it up there? Because I've got, I think, one more from last week's, and then I'm done.
All right, do yours then, because I've got 3 more from last week, and then I've got to go this week.
Well, I might have 2 actually, but I'll say, bulking since birth. He asked me a question last week. What's your favourite session that you currently do? I feel like I answered that, and we both said like lower and pull. So I think we answered that. So, but if not, lower and pull. Like that's, I like pull. I'd probably say pull if it's one of them, Saturday session. And then we have one of my clients, Jack Murphy, fitness _. I feel like this is a question that I'm not too sure because it's so simple. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to you, Jack. He just put regulated caffeine intake, and then like that emoji. I say that emoji. I don't know what this.
Greater than or less than.
Yeah, greater than. Yeah, that's what it means. Random caffeine intake. So regulated caffeine intake, random caffeine intake. Question mark for performance consistency. And I mean, well,
right. If so he's saying is regulated caffeine intake better than random?
Yeah, for performance consistency. Well, consistency is going to be regulated.
Yeah.
That's literally something that's inconsistent is not going to be regulated. So if you're after, let's say, consistency, you'd want to be regulated. So, for example, when it comes to myself, if you were to want me to break it down, I currently have on non-training days 150 to 200 milligrams of caffeine. That is literally either a Monster or like a Rain energy drink, just an energy drink. And then on training days, it's literally what my pre-workout is. So, Superhuman Supreme is like 300 milligrams, 340 milligrams, I think 350 milligrams. MV Pre is, I think, similar. So I have around 300 milligrams because I usually take just under a scoop, it's like 3/4 of a scoop. I don't have anything else other than that. There's been times where my workload's pretty high. If it's busy, I might have like an energy drink or some caffeine in the morning upon wake. Upon like after I've got like a decent amount of water in. But my caffeine stays pretty much the exact same throughout the year. And it comes up and it comes down. I bring it down through deload periods, and when my workload's really high, it comes higher. What's yours, mate? I'm guessing you have a rough idea. Like you only have pre on Saturday sessions.
Zero apart from Saturdays where it's like 3.
No, but you have like coffees, and so you in like.
Not.
No, I thought you still had a coffee like every day.
No, I have 0 caffeine. When I do have a coffee, I have decaf. Literally, the
Fair
only
enough.
time I consume caffeine, I even have 0 caffeine Pepsi Max. Like literally zero. I don't
Mate,
need
I like that. No. I think it's a real good thought process. I like that because you've been, mate, how many times, like, if you go back 4 years ago, 3 years ago for both of us, how many monsters a day were you having? Like, maybe longer than that, 5.
maybe only one.
Not like excessive. Yeah, like but you'd have one a day. When you were dieting, you might sneak it to 2 a day, and you'd have like flavored drinks that probably, like a Pepsi Max will have like 43 milligrams of caffeine, I think, stuff like that. And like, again, I was the kind of guy when I was like 18, I'd diet on no food, and I'd literally have like 2 to 3 monsters a day and a pre-workout, and I'd be like, oh, sound, I wonder why I sleep shit. Like, I just wouldn't really know.
To be fair, like I've had a few clients ask me, because I think I've posted it a few times that I only have pre on a Saturday. So I've had clients ask me and say, like, why do you not have caffeine? And I say, I literally don't need it. Like, my sleep is good, my food is high, my energy availability is high, it's positive, I'm in a surplus. I don't need caffeine. Like, but then if they're dieting, they sort of question, well, do I need it? And I would say, well, to be honest, yes, I would probably recommend it when you're dieting. There's definitely more benefit to having caffeine when you're dieting, in terms of, trying to almost sort of nullify the effects of being in a negative energy balance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, right now I really don't need it. And I don't even, as well as that, like, I don't, and I've always said this, I don't get a massive boost from a pre-workout.
Yeah, you've
even
always
now,
been like,
even
weird,
now,
like,
when
I
don't have any caffeine, I don't take my caffeine on a Saturday, I'm like, fucking hell, yeah. Like, I have it on a Saturday because we train earlier, and there's potential, there's some small benefits from caffeine with training, which outweigh on a day when I'm training earlier, makes sense. But the cost that it can have to sleep when I train a little bit later, that outweighs
it wouldn't be worth it.
taking the caffeine. So I don't take it.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. For reference, in case anyone doesn't realize, I train at the same time as Finn, obviously, but I go to bed like 2 hours later. So for me, it's, if we're training at 3, it's not going to be too impactful. But like, if I was to train, for example, at 6, no chance. 5:30, no chance. Like, if it's after like 4 p.m, I haven't had caffeine, and it sounds boring, but I haven't intentionally, because it's not going to be much need. Like, it's going to be counterproductive. And again, like, it would piss me off if I was to wake up and I was then like, oh, I had shit sleep, and I realized I had a pre-workout at like 5 p.m. I'd be like, well, I fucking did that for myself. Like, I'm the reason why today's session might not be the best. So yeah, it might sound a bit like, people might listen to that and go like, fucking hell, I haven't even thought that far. But that's the kind of thought processes that you have when you're being quite critical regarding everything. So yeah, like I said, Jack, hopefully I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but when it comes to like caffeine and consistency, it's like what you would want to be regulated. Like, I think that's pretty simple. I think you could probably come to that conclusion yourself, but hopefully we've given you an insight into mine and Finn's kind of thought process to caffeine. I think that's all my questions from last week, so I can actually put up a question box next week, which will be sound.
I won't. So I think I've got like 3 left from last week, and I've got however many I got this week. I've not even checked. So
because you're so popular, aren't you?
So popular, mate. Like hundreds, I reckon, from this week. Yeah, hundreds.
Yeah. Nah, fair enough. Well, that is everything. Is there anything that you want to conclude upon, mate, or can we wrap this podcast up and get a meal in?
It's all good. Yeah, I need to make my beef meal. M4.
Beef meal, mine's
M4 going in.
Yeah, rice and chicken for me. Simple. What's your beef and
rice and beef and veg? Yeah.
God, so excited that, mate. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Episode 30. Episode 31 of the Once You're In, You're In podcast. Mate, do you want to do a pact and actually say next Wednesday? Do you want to try and do if Wednesday works, we could do the educational one, if you'd fancy. We could say that on live stream. Or we can have a chat about it, but we could try and get that ticked off. Do like a 20 or 30 minute one. No, not on live stream, on the video. So therefore, if we say it, I feel like we'll maybe go, yeah, all right, we'll stick to it.
Well, you've said it now. We'll try, yeah. We'll see.
Right, fair enough. Finn's so enthusiastic about that. Maybe catch you in the next one and it'll be an educational one. Maybe not. That'll be that. Other than that, thanks to all the story tags. Thanks to everybody who tunes in and gets this far. And likewise, thanks to everyone who's asked questions. Finn won't put up a question box next week. I most likely will. So that'll be a few days after this comes out. So yeah, other than that, guys, thank you again for listening. Look forward to welcoming you to episode 32 next time, and we'll catch you later.